My name is Rich Pretty. I'm the technical director of infrastructure.net. We normally just call ourselves IDN though. So I'm going to be walking you guys through a couple of things here. And before we actually jump in and start clicking around and see how everything works, I just wanted to briefly go over kind of the work process as a whole, just so everybody sort of understands where different pieces fit together in the process. And then I'll talk a little bit about the agenda and we'll get started. So this won't take all that long. I should also clarify that the way we're planning to do this today is that the folks who are the trades workers, we're actually going to start with you guys. We're going to show you how to complete work, how to look up all the work that's been assigned to you, et cetera. And then you guys should be released after that. So that's only really going to take probably 20 minutes or so, maybe half an hour. Then we'll step back and actually focus on the trade supervisors. So, okay, I've got a diagram here. All right, so this is the work process. You can see it's broken down into a couple of different steps here with a series of different roles that are associated with that step. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but basically the initial submission comes in, and this is anybody who has the work submitter role. So this is students, this is all of you are also submitters. So anybody who has a Sacred Heart email address and password would be able to submit a service request, basically. So once that comes in, there are two stages here that are sort of tied together in your environment, and that is that somebody has to look at that work and make sure it's not some frivolous or nonsense that somebody just put in for fun. And sort of during that same process, somebody also has to determine which of the trades is actually going to be responsible for this. So there are some rules that are set up based on locations and things like that for you guys, but we won't go into that in detail. So once the ticket has been assigned to a trade, that's when the trade supervisor is going to pick it up, take a look at it, and decide who is actually going to go out and perform the work. So that obviously is going to be the trades workers, and this is going to be kind of the main, the starting thrust of the training here, is we're going to actually focus on this section here. And then finally, after trades workers have gone out and recorded any costs and hours associated with the work that they have performed, and after they have entered some comments about the work so that the requester can see that the work is actually done, they will say that their portion is complete, and that kind of rolls back up the chain here a little bit, and the trade supervisor gets an opportunity to review it and sign off on it. Right, so you are going to have two sections. You have a work assigned to me section and a my facility service request section. So that section at the bottom is going to be displayed to absolutely everybody, students and everybody else. That is the submitter section. So everybody who has an email address, like I mentioned earlier, would be able to submit requests and check statuses on any of the requests that they have submitted. So to get a feel for how this all works, before we get into sort of the core of the trades worker process, which of course is this section here, let's all just go ahead and try submitting a request. So down here in my facility service request, go ahead and click the submit request button, and you should get a form that looks like this. So this form is obviously broken down into a number of different sections here. The things that are required as per the instructions right here, all the things with red arrows are required. You'll note, of course, that in the requester section, everything should basically already be filled in for you because just based on your login, the system should know who you are. Okay, so we can sort of scroll down just a little bit. So you can see there's not a whole bunch of stuff that is required here. This next section has details on what the problem is that they're reporting. So you can see both of these things are required. And to enter these, all you have to do is if you tap on one of them, you'll get a pop-up list of the different categories here of the problem. So this is like a two-tiered structure. We first select the category, and by selecting that, we will then get a pop-up for the type of problem. So for example, if I click on security here, you'll see that these are the various problem types that fall under security. So fire alarms, safety inspection, et cetera. You guys can pretty much select whatever you want out of those two lists. Because for this purpose, like all we're going to do is just submit this and check its status real quick. Okay, so you'll see that there are two other buttons here. We can specify that a problem was caused by vandalism. So if we can tell that it was definitely caused by vandalism, we can check that. Otherwise, we can leave it blank. There's also this button here called safety hazard. This is only available to facility staff. So students and folks like that are not going to be able to specify that it's a safety hazard. But if you were walking around and saw something that looked like it could be a slipping hazard or something like that, you can mark this as a safety hazard. And that will hopefully cue the facility staff in that maybe it needs faster attention, or maybe somebody needs to go out and put a little sign out or something like that. Okay, next down here we have our location. The only thing that's absolutely required is that you must specify a building, but you'll see that as you start picking things, it's going to try to go through this whole thing for you. As per the instructions here, if for whatever reason the details you're able to pick here are not enough, there's also a free form box here that you can just type something in. But for now, let's just select a building. So I'm just going to pick something at random, doesn't really matter right now. And you'll see that by picking a building, it is going to present us with a floor list if there are floors in the system, and a space list if there are spaces available as well. Now down the road, it's possible there will be floor plans available through the system, and in that case, if they are available, you can actually use the floor plan itself to just like tap on the room, but that's not currently available right now. Okay, so then the only other thing that is required is a description of some kind. So again, because these are all just sample requests, you can basically type in whatever you would like here. Let's see here, what did I select? I selected smoke detectors. So whatever you like there. And you'll note that down here at the bottom, there is an attachment section as well. So you don't need to do this right now, but if you are walking around and you see something that you want reported, you should be able to use this to upload pictures and documents and other things like that. But just in the interest of time, let's just go ahead and skip over that. So after you've entered all your details, you should find the save button at the bottom. Go ahead and tap that, and you should get a little success message like this. So it does tell me that my service request was received. Obviously, it gives me a service request number, and basically tells me that I should receive email notification. We've got our 2 items here in our work assigned to me area. So if you were not a trades worker, if you had not been assigned to one of the trades, you would not get this section. So you'll note, of course, that there is a little numeric value at the top. Everybody should basically be at 5 right now because we created 5 sample tickets for everybody, and they're all basically the same. So let's go ahead and tap on that and go in and take a look at our list of work. So this is the work that has been assigned directly to me. And let's talk a little bit about the interface, and then we'll actually walk through how to add hours and costs and how to mark these things as completed, et cetera. So what are we seeing here? Well, obviously we're seeing a series of tickets that have been assigned to us. On the left, we're getting a priority. So this is the priority that was assigned to this ticket by the work managers or by the trade supervisor. You'll see that over on the top right of each item, we've got some sort of date. So in the case of things that are already overdue, and this is based on the priority, since this is high priority, it should be completed faster. You should get a little red message at the top saying that this particular item is overdue. So probably this needs to be addressed fast. You'll see on the other ones that they just say the actual due date. So this was expected to be done on the 14th, and you'll see that these other ones down here are expected to be completed later. So again, that's based on the priority. High priority is going to have a shorter window. Medium priority is going to be a little bit longer. And obviously there are things like 2 weeks that are going to be even longer. There's a couple of details showing here to help you understand what each of these things is. Of course, we've got our building, the particular problem that was reported, the current status of this ticket, and the a short description, basically. So again, all of these descriptions for these sample tickets are all just going to say something like sample trades worker ticket and your name, presumably. This is, again, I'm logged in as a sample worker. On top of that, of course, you'll see that there's a couple of numbers down at the bottom right. This is basically the hours that you have submitted. And actually, I'm not sure if you guys are really using travel time, so that this may end up going away. There's a little travel time thing here as well. And then finally, a cost. So if you have a ticket that is taking some number of days to complete or something like that, you may have already submitted some hours against some of these. So you can easily look at the bottom right and see whether you've done anything yet for any of these. Okay, so we will momentarily jump in and start looking at some of the options for these. But before we get to that, I do just want to point out the bar across the top here. You'll see, of course, there is a search bar. So if you want to search for through any of these fields for some particular keyword, you can do that. However, there are also a couple of pre-made filters, and this may expand over time, but go ahead and tap that filter button, and you'll see that you've got a couple of things available to you right now. So this is just the stuff that's here by default. Down the road, if anybody thinks of filters that would be helpful to have here, we can certainly add those kinds of things. So have I already marked the ticket as complete or not? That's what this My Status is doing. So right now, all of the tickets that are currently being shown to me are ones that are still open. We can also filter on overdue. So just go ahead and tap that little button right there, overdue. And then you can either tap where it says apply and close, or basically anywhere down here in the gray will hide that and apply the filter. Okay. So you'll note, of course, that the filter box then gets a little red halo, just indicating hey, you've got some sort of non-default filter applied. Don't forget, like if you're looking for something specific, you may have left a filter on, and maybe it's not the ticket you're looking for isn't showing. So let's turn that filter off. Go ahead and tap that again, the filter button, and then come to the overdue section and just click all again. Okay, and once again, either tap apply and close or basically anywhere down here in the gray. So we don't have to spend a whole bunch of time looking at all of the different filters and whatnot. Just be aware that almost any time you come to a list that looks something like this, where you're listing out items, you're going to get filter and sort options up at the top. So be aware that those things are there. One last thing before we actually start looking at these tickets is that you may also get a couple of other icons along the top here. So this one that I have here at the top is an example. If there are little comment icons like this, this means that some member of the facility staff has attached some sort of additional comments to this. So on top of the description that was submitted by the requester themselves, somebody internally has added some notes. There's another icon that could show up, which is not showing, but that's a little paperclip icon, just like an email. If somebody has attached a document or a picture or something like that, you'll get an icon indicating that there are attachments for a particular request. So let's find this one here. I think everybody should have the same thing sort of at the top here. Go ahead and tap on that, and we're going to talk a little bit about these options. So the ones that are probably the most important are these first two here, the hours and costs and the completion. So, when you're actually recording timesheets and things like that, that's going to be done in the hours and costs. Again, that could be done over the course of several days if it's a big task. And then later you can come back and mark this as complete. And we're actually going to walk through that in just a moment. Now, if for whatever reason you need to put a request on hold or something like that, there's the other status option. But the other one that you're probably going to use a lot is this view details. So go ahead and tap on view details. And let's talk about what we have here. So Right at the top, this is the ability for you to go in and see all the notifications that have gone out on behalf of this, like just to make sure that like the requester got an email about it, et cetera. As we scroll down, of course, we've just got some basic stuff here about the actual service request number, when it was requested, when it's being expected to have been performed. And then we have what trades have been assigned to it, what trades workers have been assigned to it, et cetera, there in the basics. Now, the one thing I did want to focus on here is this internal comment section. So again, as I mentioned, that one little comments icon on the work in the list tells us that there is a message here from somebody in facilities. And this is essentially the only thing that you can edit about this ticket from this interface right here. So you can come in and add your own comments here if you want. This information will never be transmitted back to the requester. So, you know, there are certain areas of the system where you have to be careful about what you're entering in terms of comments. But as you can see from this little bit of instruction here, this is not that spot. You can type whatever you want here. This is not going to go back to the requester. So if you need
can't delete that original comment, can you?
This comment, yeah, anybody in the facilities,
Anyone?
Yeah, and not the submitter, obviously. The submitter can't edit anything, but the trades workers, trade supervisors, and work managers can all edit these however they like.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just sort of quickly go over the rest of this. There's obviously its current status of the ticket. There's details about who requested it originally, the location, and all those details we saw earlier in terms of the problem and whether it was caused by vandalism, whether it's a safety hazard, et cetera. And then finally, down here at the bottom, you'll see that there are two sections for attachments. There is the original attachments from the requester that cannot be edited. So you can view these things if there were pictures attached. You can view them here. If it's a PDF, you can view it, but you may not upload to this area here. The facilities area down here at the bottom, if you wanted, you could upload your own photos or your own documents to associate with this request. Okay, so as long as we're not making changes to the internal comments, that's essentially the only thing we can do here is change internal comments and upload essentially internal attachments. Okay, but for the most part, I think you're going to basically just be using this to come in, check to see the internal comments, and then just, double check all the details here in case there's something that you didn't understand. All right, so we've checked the details about our request. We've gone out in the field and we've done our work, or maybe we're still out in the field and we've just completed our work. So let's go ahead and complete this. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to start at hours and costs, so we can enter some timesheets and we can enter some expenses. Okay, so coming in here, you'll see that we've got two sections, one for timesheets and one for expenses. So go ahead and tap on the Add a Timesheet, and you should get a form that looks like this. Once again, all of the things that are marked with a red arrow are required, and so that is basically everything here. However, almost everything is basically pre-filled out for you. So the only thing you really need to do is set something in the straight time here. And if there's any overtime or travel time, fill those out as well. So obviously you can just tap on that and get your number pad or use the little up arrows here. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm just going to enter one hour. I'm going to hit save. You should get a little pop-up telling you it was saved. And when you get back to the resources here, you'll see that you should get a little entry for a timesheet. Now, if need be, you'll see that there is a little gray arrow here. You could edit this or delete it if you needed to. However, you can also just add another timesheet. So, if you go out and spend 1 hour doing something and you come back, you don't need to edit this one. You can just add a second timesheet. Okay. And down here below, we have our expenses. Let's go ahead and go in there as well. So tap on Add an Expense. And you'll see that once again, we've got some of this detail filled out for us. And we've got 2 boxes that it's expecting for us to fill out. Some sort of cost, and then some sort of short description about what that cost was. So again, you can just tap on the cost total here. I'm just going to say $22. And in the description, I'm going to just type something random. Again, this is just sample, so you can just type whatever you'd like. All right, so once you've entered all of the required fields, you should be ready to push save. So I'm going to push save. I get my little message telling me it was successful. And I guess I sort of skipped over this earlier, but any of these little messages like this have a little bit of instruction down at the bottom, just saying tap anywhere to close. That's the message, or again, anywhere on the gray, we'll just close that. And it looks like we need to make a slight change to that template because you guys are not categorizing these expenses. So let me just make a note of that. So has everybody entered a timesheet and an expense?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have no other timesheets and expenses to add, you can come up here to the little back arrow, and that should bring you back to your main list of all your work. Now, that should refresh for you. And so you should see, again, we're all should be working on this first one in our list, and you'll see that it should tell you that you have entered 1 hour of time, or whatever number of hours you entered, and some sort of cost over here for the price of your expenses. So now we've entered all the details we need, and we can just go ahead and mark this as completed. Okay, so once again, we can tap on this item anywhere, and there's the little box here that says completion. So go ahead and tap on that. And it is required that you enter some sort of comments that are going to go potentially back to the requester. Your supervisor has the option, as they're reviewing all of your work, they have the option to include your comments or not. But by default, your comments will go back to the requester, since you're the one who was in the field and saw what was wrong, et cetera. Your comments will go back. So again, sample data, I'm just going to say I did the work as requested.
It's pretty intuitive.
I know, but let's hope it's done, huh? Yeah. What's the requested one?
Andre would figure it out.
You gotta add all the hours.
So after you've entered some sort of comments here, that's pretty much it. You can hit save. It'll tell you it was saved. And when you get back to your list, that item that we were just working for will be dropped off of your list because it no longer requires your attention. Now that's pretty much it, but I do just want to point out a couple other things. First of all, if you do want to check on something that you completed earlier in the day or whatever, you can once again use that filter. Okay, so under the filter, actually click on the all button for my status, and you should be able to find the one that we just entered there. So when after you've taken a look at that, go ahead and click on that home icon at the top left and come back to the dashboard. There's just one more little thing I want to show, and then we'll be done with the trades workers for now. So first and foremost, you should see that your all work number has been reduced. So as expected, we completed one of our tasks. We still have 4 things that have been assigned to us. So we still have 4 tickets that need our attention. The other thing I did want to point out is there is this little My Stats button here. And this is going to be evolving over time. And it's also going to be super thin right now because, of course, we're in a sample system. And so basically everybody has got a bunch of, hardly any data here. But you can see how many tickets you were assigned over the past 7 days, how many of them you completed, how many hours total you submitted, and how many, what the total expenses were. There's some other stats that may show up here and some other views of this data that may be available. But I did just want to show you this so that you could get a handle on, what you have done in the past 7 days, for example, or over the past 30 days. So after we have some discussions with the work managers and make some decisions moving forward, this may change slightly. All right, so that's pretty much it, unless you guys have questions. Did that all make sense? Is that fairly straightforward?
Yeah.
Cool. So, again, one of our intentions here is to just keep this really smooth and straightforward. But as I mentioned earlier, if there's something that you guys feel is missing or needed, certainly don't hesitate to let Jill and Bill know, and they will let us know, because all of our different customers do things a little bit differently, and we want to make sure that this is doing exactly what you need, isn't overly complicated, et cetera. So if you have any ideas, certainly let us know.